Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this annual White Mass, which we have every year. I want to welcome Father Kubat and Father Rayer as well, and also I want to welcome a visiting bishop, if you kind of notice the other one with the mitre. Who is this guy? This is Bishop Philip Egan, who is a good friend, old friend of mine. He's the Bishop of Portsmouth in England, south of London, and he's here visiting this weekend. So I'm taking him all around the diocese, and he's going to have to take a little vacation, I think, when he gets back, because but he's actually doing a semester or a few weeks of study. He's doing kind of postdoctoral work at the Catholic University of America, and so he's been there for about a month. He's got another month to go or so, and then he'll return to his diocese after his sabbatical work. So we welcome Bishop Egan to the Newman Center and to the Diocese of Lincoln. And it's a great joy to celebrate this Mass every year because we always have this Mass close as we can to the Feast of St. Luke, who's the patron saint of physicians. And so all over the country, guilds like ours, St. Joseph Moscato is our guild here in Lincoln. I think next week there's a White Mass on the 20th in Omaha. So all over the country, guilds that belong to the Catholic Medical Association, Catholic Physicians Guild as it was called, are celebrating Masses on these days, during these days, to just thank the Lord for the gift of the call to serve. And we have nurses I see here, we have physicians, we have healthcare professionals who are here, because I really do believe it's a vocation. I mean, Jesus was primarily a teacher and a healer. So those of us who are in the teaching profession or the healing profession, we're doing things that are really at the heart of the Lord's mission, to teach and to heal. And we know the Lord was a great healer. And so Catholic healthcare goes back to apostolic times. The Catholic Church has been intimately involved in Catholic health care from the very beginning. The first hospitals, the first medical schools, they were all coming out of the Catholic Church. And so we do have a long heritage in this ministry of health care. And to share in that mission of the divine physician is a great and noble calling. So first of all, I just want to thank all of you who've answered that call. To serve in healthcare in whatever capacity you're in, but really to help to heal and to bring healing and hope to people who are struggling physically, psychologically, emotionally, and in every way. That's at the heart of the Lord's ministry. And we want to thank the Lord for that, and we want to pray, for strength and courage and energy and renewal and hope and joy, because it's not easy. Those of you who are in the trenches, you know that. Never been easy, I suppose. But now today, we are in an era where there's a lot of challenges in healthcare. Ethical challenges, conscience rights and religious liberty issues, new technologies, the poor especially, providing health care to those who don't have health care and insurance and those kinds of things. So it's really very, very important and a lot of great challenges. So the readings, and we're offering up Mass in honor, votive Mass to the Blessed Virgin Mary. So we ask her intercession, her powerful intercession. For us today. So the readings this morning, the first reading is taken from the book of the prophet Joel, and it's a rather startling passage all about judgment and in the valley of Jehoshaphat, and how God will render justice to the people, and it won't be pretty, but it'll be just. And in the end, he's assuring the people that God's justice will reign. And I think that, we have to remember that as well in our own day. God is our stronghold and our shield, as Prophet Joel tells us. and God sits in judgment over the world. And sometimes this might strike fear in our hearts, personally, that God is not going to be merciful to me, or that my own weakness and sinfulness will come under the judgment of the Lord, and it will. But we know that God is a God of mercy. And another consolation is that, and we can't presume upon that mercy. I mean, we have to do the deeds of justice. But at the same time, we can also be assured with hope that God, in the end, will sort it all out, will make it all just. And, when we're living in the tension of an unjust world, where we see injustices everywhere, I can't help but thinking when I read that gospel, or that first reading from Joel this morning, the whole conflict in Israel and the tragic attack on the people of Israel, and the plight of the Palestinians, and it's just complex, historical, and it's hard to see a resolution in that very, very volatile part of the world, politically, socially, culturally, religiously. But the consolation is that God, He's in control, and that He will bring about justice in the end. And that's what we have to keep our sights on. God, who is pure justice, will sort things out, and everyone will receive his just due. And even if there is injustice in the world, which there is, for a while, in the end, God will bring about justice and bring freedom and peace to those who are oppressed and suffering injustice, in whatever way or form, shape it is. And this is great good news, and it gives us hope and trust and faith in the midst of tremendous injustice in our world. But we must always live in that tension. We can't escape it. And we have to live and do the right thing and speak up for the righteous and the just, and witness by our own lives God's truth and goodness and beauty, even in the midst of an unjust world and even in the midst of persecution. And that's why those of you who are called to medicine, you are also a witness to justice in your own profession. You've taken the Hippocratic Oath. Now, it's almost unthinkable to think, that's kind of a contradiction. It's unthinkable to see that even the Hippocratic Oath, which goes back to the time of Greece, is either not taken by some physicians or even forbidden to be taken. This is the fundamental, do no harm. I mean, how basic of a moral precept is that? And yet that's called into question today. And so, in the area of medicine, you who embrace that oath and live that oath and witness that oath, serve alongside of people and administrators and, everyone in the healthcare profession who may not share that same belief in that oath. And yet, you have to still do the right thing. You still have to witness to the truth of what you believe you're called to do. And that may entail persecution. And it's more important now than ever, I think. Father Kubat and I, I'm the National Episcopal Advisor to the Catholic Medical Association in the United States, and Father Kubat is the National Chaplain. So Lincoln's is well represented in the Catholic Medical Association. But at our last conference last month in Phoenix, the largest segment in the Catholic Medical Association of its members are medical students and residents. We're experiencing unprecedented growth. It's always been a tough job to get busy medical students and busy residents to even come to one of our conferences or to get involved in that. How their time is all consumed with their studies and with their residencies and their fellowships. But yet, this conference, we had the highest number in the history of the organization. We had 61 medical students and 26 residents who came for the whole conference. And that tells me that they're looking for support, because they're right there in the midst of the battle. They're looking for help. They're looking for advice from mentors who have been in the profession for a number of years. They're looking for legal support to know what they can do and know their rights as students and as residents, their conscience protection rights and their religious liberty and all these kinds of things, because they know they're going into a profession that is not going to be supportive of their Catholic worldview, because these young students, and Father Kubak can tell you better than I can, they are Catholic first, and then physicians or soon-to-be physicians second. I mean, they really take their faith seriously, and they're so impressive, and we are so humbled and edified by their presence. And they're very much aware, and they have their eyes wide open to what the world they're stepping into as professionals in medicine. And they want to be well equipped, they want to be knowledgeable, and they want to have support because they don't know where they're going to end up practicing, in what state, and every state has just different laws and regulations. And so they're looking for residencies, they're looking for practices where they can go and be assured to be able to practice their faith and have the support of the local physicians who are also Catholics who can help them. So they're meeting up with different guilds all across the country as they prepare for their future in medicine. And so it's at one time it's sort of in a way it's kind of striking that there would be such an interest, but at the same time it's also a sign of hope, that they're ready for the battle. They're battle ready, and they're equipped, and they want to make a difference. They want to witness to justice and righteousness in medicine. And I think that we want to support that, and we want to be witnesses to that justice in the world. Finally, just the gospel is a nice reminder to us. It's one of those stories where, at first reading, it almost looks like the Lord is sort of, disparaging his family. It's kind of like, when the other passage where they say, your mother and your friends and relatives are here, and he says, "Who is my mother?" It's like, what? It's almost like offensive to Mary. Or today, and they say, "Blessed are the breasts that gave you suck, and blessed is the womb that carried you, and blessed the breasts that nursed you." And he said, instead of like, "Thank you," or recognizing his mother family, he says, "No, rather, blessed are those who hear the word of God and observe it." In other words, more important than familial ties, more important than family concerns, is the word of God and obedience to the word of God. Now, it's irony because no one was more obedient to the word of God than Mary. In a way, he's kind of propping her up, because he's saying, look at her. The word of God came first for her. But it also should come first for us. And that's what he's saying, that the word of God and the teachings of the church must come first, and we must observe that for justice. And that's the most important thing. Beyond everything else, familial ties, culture, whatever it is, the word of God and the truth must motivate all of our actions, even in the face of opposition. And so I think that's a good compliment to the judgment of Joel, is that, all we have to do, we can be at peace as long as we're following the Word of God and we're living and looking at the world through the lens of our Catholic faith, and seeing everything and judging everything and evaluate everything through the lens of our faith. And then we can be at peace, even in the midst of the chaos in which we live, even in the midst of the culture that seems to be diametrically opposed to that. We can maintain that peace and that equilibrium that the Lord promises through the Holy Spirit.